The rest of the story. Everybody in Canton, Ohio, knew the Folwell Building, a huge place, mostly occupied by an apartment store. Because of heavy daytime traffic, the Folwell Building was cleaned and otherwise maintained, mostly at night. An entire night crew was employed for the purpose. I want you to meet one member of that night crew, Murray Spangler, the building's janitor. Murray was a rather slight, inobtrusive man, not the sort who would easily attract attention. But then the cough started. It was occasional at first, little more than a tickling in Murray's throat, but the cough persisted. Emily, the scrub woman, noticed it almost before Murray did. What was the matter? She'd ask. Oh, a touch of grip, maybe, Murray would answer, and then he'd say it would go away, but it did not. And some nights the coughing became hacking. Other members of the maintenance crew staff noticed until eventually everybody was asking what on earth was the matter with Murray. Tuberculosis, somebody suggested. Consumption, deadly, communicable. But Murray never coughed during the day, only at night when he was actually inside the Folwell Building. Of course, that was the cardinal clue to the rest of the story, for Murray Spangler's number one job as janitor was carpet sweeping, and all of the miles and miles of rugs in the Folwell Building were Murray's responsibility. And yet, as he pushed the giant carpet sweeper, he raised enough dust into the air to trigger an allergic reaction. And over the months, and then the years, Murray's allergy worsened. Sometimes the coughing became so violent that Murray simply could not continue his chore. Often fellow workers heard asthmatic gasping in the distance and rushed to discover Murray in a state of helpless exhaustion. The growing sympathy for him was such that other members of the night crew frequently cleaned the carpeting in addition to their own assigned responsibilities. Now, if Murray had simply been a goof-off, things probably would have gone on that way until the staff got fed up and he got fired, surely never to be heard from again. But Murray was not a goof-off. In fact, he was so determined to earn an honest living that he started tinkering on his own time with electric fans and rolling dust pans and broom handles and old pillowcases until he had rigged up a device which could inhale carpet dust without exhaling any. And yes, the device worked. And Murray used it in his janitor's job. And that's precisely how his illness ended and something more significant began. In 1907, for the upright dust bag bearing electric vacuum cleaner has been the loyal companion of homemakers in each generation since, and yet few of us have realized its origin. In the hands of an asthmatic janitor named Murray Spangler. But the man who ultimately purchased the rights to his invention was a small-town harness maker named William H. Hoover. And for a generation, the Hoover vacuum cleaner became like all one word to the housewives of the world. And now you know the rest of the story.
And now the rest of the story. When Mr. Harvey explained the background of Murray's invention, I was reminded of the old saying, necessity is the mother of invention. Murray certainly needed a better way to clean the floors. Dust has always been a major irritant in all homes and buildings. People would dust off their items, then sweep up the dust into a dustpan. The sweeping motion spread the dust around, and people were in a never-ending cycle of sweep and dust, dust and sweep. This dust was the source of Murray's coughing. James Murray Spangler was born on November the 20th, 1848, probably in Stark County, Ohio. It was in this building, the Folwell Building in Canton, Ohio, that Murray got the idea for his invention, as Mr. Harvey explained. Murray had taken a temporary job as a janitor at the W.R. Zollinger and Company department store inside the Folwell Building. Take a look at this postcard from the time Murray worked on the cleaning crew of the building. It was a stunning building. When I pictured it as I listened to Mr. Harvey, I envisioned an old building, but the Folwell Building was practically new when Murray cleaned there. It was built in 1900 by the Folwell Dry Goods Company. According to an article published in 1901 in the Stark County Democrat, the Folwell Building had furnishings of, this is a quote, Modern southern pine with frosted glass. Heat is furnished. Now, elevator service was available all day and until midnight every day except Sunday, when the elevator operator worked from 9 a.m. to noon when he took lunch, from 1 to 5, and then again from 6 to 9 p.m. Every room was furnished with shades and electric light and gas fittings. If you were to go back in time, you could rent an office in the Folwell Building for as low as $6 a month, which included janitor services. Murray was on the janitor staff, as Mr. Harvey explained. The highest rental in the Folwell Building was for suites of 3 rooms, but the monthly rate was not published in newspapers. The Folwell Building still stands today, but it's lost a lot of its former glory. Well, maybe not for long. In 2022, the Ohio Historic Preservation Tax Credit Program awarded $2 million for the renovation of the Folwell Building. They plan to convert this space into a 24-unit apartment building under the direction of developer Steve Kuhn. Work has already begun on the renovation. Workers have removed the solid brick wall that covered the old arched windows. Now, it may not look impressive in these photos, but it will look worse before it gets better. It was while he was working as a janitor of the Folwell Building that Murray attached an old fan motor to a soapbox, stapled them to a broom handle, and attached a pillowcase to collect the dust. Murray tested and made improvements to his vacuum cleaner while at work at the Folwell Building. For those hard-to-reach areas, Murray created several attachments. Your vacuum cleaner probably has some of these same attachments. Looking back with the benefit of hindsight, it looks like the vacuum cleaner almost invented itself, but that was not the case at all. His design was revolutionary. While other so-called inventors worked on sucking vacuum cleaners, which normally created about as much dust as they cleaned, Murray's vacuum cleaner was the first to use both a cloth filter bag and cleaning attachments. His was the first that really worked. In 1908, Murray received the patent for his vacuum cleaner. In the same year, the Kansas Plainville Times described the house of the future. The article informed the readers that houses are now being built without chimneys, and as the uses of electricity progresses, this may be the coming type. These futuristic homes are heated as well as lighted by electricity. Keep in mind that this is in 1908. My small hometown didn't get electricity until 1933. An electric range does the cooking. Among the handy appliances are electric irons and wash boilers and electric coil to heat water. An electric suction sweeper does the sweeping without dust. Now, have you ever referred to your vacuum as your electric suction sweeper? That's what Murray named his new company, the Electric Suction Sweeper Company. One of Murray's first customers was his own cousin, Susan Troxell. Susan was married to a man who was a saddle maker and leather merchant. In 1908, the leather merchant was so impressed with Murray's electric suction sweeper that he sold his leather business and invested all of his money in Murray's revolutionary invention. This man, of course, was William Henry Hoover. The new business grew beyond anyone's wildest expectations. Initially, Hoover only had 6 employees. But by 1954, the company had grown to over 12,000 employees. In 1953, sales of Murray's invention totaled $51 million. Now, in America, most of us refer to Murray's invention as simply the vacuum cleaner. But in England, Scotland, and a few other countries, they refer to all vacuum cleaners, regardless of the brand name, as Hoovers. It's also used as a verb. Pardon me, are you hoovering at this hour? In 1922, Hoover renamed the electric suction sweeper company the Hoover Company. Now, at first glance, it would seem that the Hoovers got wealthy off of Murray's invention. Murray is all but forgotten as the father of the modern vacuum cleaner. But that's not the case at all. Although they never disclosed the exact amount the Hoovers paid for Murray's company, Murray received a royalty from every single sale. The Hoovers made no attempt to separate Murray from his invention. In fact, they did their best to keep Murray as close to his invention as possible. They hired Murray to oversee the day-to-day operations of the company. He worked there for the remainder of his life. On January 22, 1915, 66-year-old James Murray Spangler died from a heart attack in Canton, Ohio. The Hoover Company continued to pay royalties to the family until Murray's patent expired in 1925. The work of a janitor is customarily perceived as low-skilled with little social value. The work of a janitor is often taken for granted, and their jobs are considered inferior to almost any other occupation. Why is that? Remember, when Murray invented his revolutionary vacuum cleaner that helps our lives, he was just a janitor. If there is but one takeaway from this look back into history, it is that everyone is important. Everyone, regardless of their position, should be respected. If we all respected each other, not because of our station in life, but just because we are fellow humans, the world would be such a better place. Don't you think? I'm Brad Dison. Thanks for watching. And now you know the rest of the story.